All right, we're at Glandore Girl. We recorded this. Well, I wrote this song in Glandore, Ireland, and my family, my in-laws, before any of us kids had kids, uh, we went to Italy as a family vacation and Ireland, and I really liked Ireland. I'd been to Ireland before. A good friend of mine that I grew up with, Clay, he and his wife Nolig, is from Donegal, and I got to go to their wedding. And this is right around the time I put out my very first record, I guess in 2006 or 7 ish. I think they got married in 2007 or 8. I think the December of just 2007. Went to Ireland, and I went out for a week. I'm like maybe 10 days. And Nolig's dad put me up with a friend of his in Dublin. So I hung around Dublin a long time, and then I ended up at the wedding, for the 2 or 3 days at the wedding, maybe 2 days, something like that. So I was there a long time. I got to play some shows. I booked some shows in Dublin. That was real neat, and man, goddamn, I totally lived there. I just loved it and the people and everything else. So fast forward a few more years, and I guess uh, fast forward to maybe 2010 or 11. Um, we took this family trip to Glandore, which is on the very west and south part of Ireland, and it's a bay. And we rented a house and just hung out there. I snuck up to Dublin and played a show uh, at the Globe and took the train back down. But we hung out in this place called Glandore, and there was a regatta every other year. They have a big regatta race, and so it's like a weekend of boat racing. And so the harbor fills up with all these yachties, they call them, all these people that have the money to go boat racing, in Europe. And out in the Bay of Glandore, there's two like rock outcroppings. One is, they call it Adam, and one is Eve. And you're supposed to uh, avoid Adam and hug on Eve. So when you're coming into the harbor, it doesn't look like you should do it, but you need to get really close to Eve, or because if you get too close to Adam, you will surely crack your boat up and perish. And I guess hundreds and thousands probably of people have died uh, trying to get into the harbor during storms and whatnot. It's very tricky, the sailors say, to navigate. And so we were hanging out at this week that we were there, and it was whole like racing week. And so I got to hear lots of stories, hang with the people. God, so fun. And play music at night. We'd go take over a bar. They had a piano, and we'd play music. And I ended up writing this song called Glandore Girl. And it's really about this kind of local girl, this Glandore girl sailing on the sea, prettiest thing you'd ever see. Her daddy catches mackerel down at the wharf, and her mama breaks soda bread at Union Hall, which is like the little community center there. I imagine she was a straight A student. She was like the catch of Glandore. And her dad just asked her, please don't marry a yachty. I guess in my mind, their family really didn't want her to marry outside of, didn't want her to marry a yachty and be whisked away from their family. And so, as the story goes that I made up, she ends up falling in love with a yachty. She couldn't take it. Her heart had been won. She's going to sail in the setting sun. They said their vows and off they wed, never to be seen or heard from again. They left. And gosh, why can't I think of his name? There's I guess I'll put it in the notes. I'll have to look it up. When I was there was a really famous famous for Ireland, folk singer. What was his name? And he had given me that line. He said, "Oh, that song, you need to, he was there playing gigs, right? And I was chatting with him. He's like, that song though, you have to make it a sea shanty, like a sea song. It's like, I don't particularly care for sea shanties, but, you have to have something about, I said, well, it's about her falling in love with a yachty and sailing off on the sea. And she's so pretty, like the fish just practically jump in her boat and whatever. And he's like, you need something more than that. And he's like, so you have to get Adam and Eve in there. And so he basically gave me that last line. You got to say something like, you have to hug on Adam and avoid Adam and hug on Eve. I mean, you have to have something about sailing into this bay. It's like, damn, you are a smart man. And anyway, I'll dig up his name and I'll link some of his music to this. He was a hell of a nice guy. He lives actually in Florida. And it's amazing. There's actually palm trees in that part of Ireland. I guess the jet stream comes basically around around Florida and up, and it kind of comes up around Ireland. And over the years, seeds of, palm trees. I don't know. Crazy to see a palm tree in Ireland. But that's the backstory on Glandore Girl. God, I'd love to be back there again. What a neat country. And hey, maybe someday when we retire, I'll go there. All right. Thanks again, and I'll see you on the next segment. Don't know how this song's going to get played, but you'll figure it out. I guess it'll be right below. All right, bye.